Would you care if I told you that my son was murdered last night? Would you honestly care? Or would you make excuses for his murderer? Would you say you remember that time that he yelled because he was angry? Or the time that he didn't do exactly what he was told? Would you begin to make him fit into the negative stereotypes or create some scandalous role? Would you remember that he used to smile through his sadness and sometimes the isolation? Would you fight for the person you already know, or would you try to say somehow he must have done something wrong?
Taking a look at the past, we all know that violence as a product of a racist mindset took away so many innocent lives. The apartheid, slavery, and segregation left people in fear of their lives. Even after the abolishment of slavery in 1865, racism still exists in all parts of the world. Many people ask why the unjust death of George Floyd had gotten so much attention when there have been incidents like this in the past that were kept quiet. They are right. These are not single occurrences, nor incidents that should go silent. For centuries, the intoxicating idea of racism tore our world apart. George Floyd's death was not the first, and it won't be the last unless we bring change to the way we think.
And this week, we talked about the March on Washington and the famous Martin Luther King speech, whose final line said, "Free at last, free at last, free at last." And of course, in 2020, just this week, they're not free at last.
So unfortunately, the atrocities and the deaths we have seen in the US are not new, and not confined to one state, or actually even one country. It is just finally the world seems to have stopped to listen, to care, and hopefully this will enact change. No one deserves to live a life of fear.
There's a lot of discrimination in the world, and we shouldn't be happy until people are treated equally.
Human rights are based on universalism, so if you do not show support for the ones who get their rights infringed, you are negating your own rights as well.
I felt that racism is still happening in this world, and racism had happened so many times, and it had happened for so long, and I feel that now that Corona's come, we need to desperately just stop racism and stand united against this illness.
It would be disingenuous of me to even think for 1 second I can fully understand what life is like for a person of colour in America and all over the world. What I can do is check myself and others for racial bias and discrimination, speak out when I see wrongs being done, and educate myself and others on these topics to learn more. I don't believe any of us should be silent right now.
We should make sure that when we are treating each other, we should treat each other with respect, because there are so many different racial ethnicities. We have white, black, and Asian. And from what we've seen throughout the world is that everyone is so about their group, but if we want to create diversity and if we want to maintain diversity, we have to treat everyone as equally as we do to our own.